Boxing is an art. It is a mix of strength, technique, and size will not help in the ring against a truly serious opponent if you are deprived of talent. Today I would like to talk about 5 fights in which giants were beaten by much smaller opponents. Number 1. Tall guys became the same height as me when I hit their body, said legendary heavyweight Jack Dempsey. The Manasseh Mauler is a real example of downright animal aggression and cruelty in the ring. It was Jack, and not Sonny Liston as is commonly believed, who became the inspiration for the iconic heavyweight Mike Tyson. Despite not the most outstanding height for a heavyweight, 6'1", and 73-inch arm span, Dempsey was considered a real giant killer. Aggressiveness in the ring and very powerful blows allowed him to deal with opponents who were significantly superior to him in size. Fans who loved the show in the ring immediately noticed a fighter who dealt with opponents in the ring with special ferocity and savagery. On July 4th, a significant date for all Americans, in 1919, Jack entered the ring for the World Heavyweight title against Jess Willard. Willard was considered a real giant, not only for that time. His height was 6'6.5", and his arm span was 83 inches. But with such an impressive size, Jess had a quite modest boxing talent. Poor Willard had to go through 9 circles of hell in the fight against the Manasseh Mauler. The size of the champion did not prevent Jack from closing the distance and striking with his powerful blows. Only in the first round, Willard was on the floor of the ring 7 times. Jess went to the break with a broken jaw and 2 broken ribs.
Into the floor for the 4th time. The instant Willard knees were off the floor, Jack at him again. Jess is wide open. He has absolutely no defense. And he hits the deck again. Courage just flings and left into it. Clear across the opposite corner. And there he's taken it again. How can the man stand it? And there he falls, his gloved hand feeling for the rope, trying to hold himself up. Then feint, but a right smashes into his side. Other rights crash to the head, and Willard collapses into a sitting position, dazed and helpless. After the most, no matter what he does, he can't get away from that tiger who's stalking. His arms and legs are heavy with exhaustion. Salt sweat burns the gashes Dempsey's fists have opened. When Jack bores in and hits him...
The boxer bravely continued the fight, but this only prolonged his suffering in the ring. Dempsey ruled the heavyweight division for 7 years, only having 5 title defenses during that period, until he lost to Gene Tunney in the fall of 1926. Number 2. Max Baer is deservedly considered one of the most dangerous punchers in the history of boxing. He was known for his aggressive style of fighting and a strong blow from both hands, especially the right hook. Baer terrified many of his rivals. He had very good size, height 6'2.5", and 81-inch arm span. On June 14, 1934, he entered the title fight against the giant Primo Carera. Despite the solid advantage of Carera in size, 3 inches in height and 4 inches in arm span, the fight became a real show by the contender. Carnera's boxing talent was as modest as his size was outstanding. To the delight of the American public, Baer mercilessly beat the champion. He knocked down Carera 3 times in the first round, twice in the second, once in the third, 3 times in the 10th, and twice in the 11th. Several times the champion asked the referee to stop the beating, but decided to continue. Only at the end of the 11th round, the referee finally stopped Carnera's torment. The fans were delighted. Their favorite, Max, won the World Heavyweight title.
Again, the referee failing to get any sort of a grip on this, and this is in danger. Oh, it's the right hand, and he's gone down. And Baer's trying to finish him in the first. Carera hardly knows where he is. And what's the referee doing? And he's gone down again. Somehow back to Baer, but down he goes again. It was the right hand once more, no more than
15 seconds, the 11th round, the winner, no champion, Max.
Number 3. the legendary Mike Tyson, despite his modest height and arm span for a heavyweight, 5'10" and 71 inches, always inspired genuine fear on his opponents. His phenomenal speed, enviable punching power, and great technique, both in attack and defense, were an insurmountable obstacle for many opponents. Like his idol, Jack Dempsey, he fought ferociously in the ring like an angry lion. More than once, Tyson destroyed rivals who were noticeably superior to him in size. On June 24, 2000, the iconic champion entered the ring against compatriot Lou Savar. By that time, the great boxer had already passed his career peak, but still had intimidating punching power, enough to finish the fight with one hit. In favor of Savar, there was an impressive advantage in size, 7 inches in height and 9 inches in arm span. He lost only to such opponents as George Foreman, David Izon, and Michael Grant, and only Izon managed to stop the American big man by knockout. Lou had victories over the strong Buster Mathis Jr. and Lance Whitaker. But most of all, he became famous for defeating the guy who won against Tyson's first, James Buster Douglas, whom he destroyed already in the first round. The fight against Tyson ended without actually starting. Mike's powerful left hook knocked the giant down already at the start of the fight. Savar got up, but it was not difficult for Tyson to finish off his opponent. The fighter got so carried away that the referee suffered too. Fortunately for Iron, there were no penalties, and he was awarded the victory by technical knockout. Tyson spent only 38 seconds to destroy the giant.
It's going to be stopped! It's going to be stopped! It's all over! Oh, and he still wants to attack him, and John Coyle is trying to stop the fight, and Tyson fights on. I don't think he understood it. The fight is over. It is stopped. John Coyle just couldn't get in there. Well, he did get in, but Tyson didn't understand it. I believe he's called the fight off here. It's over, and that might be the quickest win of Tyson's career. Previously, it was 30 seconds against Marvis Frazier. Well, it was over before it had started. His very first punch basically ended the contest.
Number 4. Samuel Peter made a name for himself in a fight against the legendary Vladimir Klitschko in September 2005. Despite losing by unanimous decision, the powerful Nigerian gave the Ukrainian one of the toughest fights in his career, sending him to the floor of the ring 3 times. To get close to the fight for the title of world champion, Peter needed victories. And if the victory on points over Robert Hawkins impressed few people, then the fight against journeyman Julius Long on April 28, 2006 became just the indicative tool that size in boxing is not the main thing. Long was very big, height 7'1" and 90-inch arm span, against 6'2" and 77 inches for Peter. Long somehow restrained the powerful African with a jab, but already in the middle of the first round, he missed Samuel's attack and ended up on the floor of the ring.
Backwards, because he's not set on his feet, and it's only a matter of time before he'll be on his knees. And he is right now.
After getting up, Long tried to run away from the aggressor, but Peter was unstoppable. A brutal right hand sent the giant into a deep knockout. Long was on the floor for more than a minute.
And Long is in real bad shape. Top-notch medical staff coming right into the ring to get to him, Dr. Michael Schwartz.
Number 5. Former world title contender Monty Barrett was never considered a world-class boxer, losing all of his most important fights. But he lost to great boxers like Vladimir Klitschko, Hasim Rahman, Nikolai Valuev, Joe Messi, and Lance Whitaker. On June 28, 2008, 37-year-old Monty entered the ring against giant Ty Fields, whom his promoter, Bob Arum, planned to take to the world title. The Canadian really had an impressive size, 6'8" height and 82-inch arm span, and the carrying management made it possible to put together a beautiful record of 41 wins, 37 by knockout, and only 1 defeat. The biggest of high-profile Fields' successes in the ring were victories over the journeymen Cedric Fields and Maurice Harris, as well as over ex-world champion Bruce Seldon. Barrett in this fight was in the role of a stepping stone for the prospect, but the veteran had a different opinion. Having waited out a flurry of chaotic attacks from the opponent, Barrett knocked out the giant with a combination at the end of the first minute of the first round. At the end of his career, Monty once again proved the common truth: boxing is not a fight. And on mere size and power, you won't go far.
Years ago, he went into the ring in Chicago and threw himself at Willard. It looked almost like a rabbit throwing itself against a wall. Tonight he has promised to use his boxing skills, and he counter-punches Fields early and knocks him right on his butt with a series of big right hand shots.
Same thing with saying big guy, but doesn't have the coordination that goes with being a boxer. It's a lot different from other sports.
And it's stopped right there by Kenny Bayless, who has seen enough to figure that it's dangerous to let Ty Fields go forward, and Monty Barrett has a knockout 1 minute into the fight.
He fought a very disciplined fight, placed his punches.